Most people think living with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis is about managing symptoms, managing pain, managing urgency, and also managing fatigue or managing food. But from an anthropological perspective, there's often something much deeper happening beneath the surface, managing fear. And not the dramatic kind either, not the fear that announces itself loudly, the quiet fear that slowly starts rearranging your life while convincing you it's simply being sensible. The survival brain doesn't care about your dreams. Human beings evolved to survive. For most of human history, uncertainty could be dangerous. The people who paid attention to threats were often the people who stayed alive long enough to pass on their genes. Your brain still carries that ancient wiring. It is constantly scanning the environment looking for danger, risk, and anything that might cause pain. When you're living with gut inflammation, that system can become hyper-focused on preventing another bad experience from happening. That could be another flare or another embarrassing situation. It could be another urgent dash to the bathroom, another cancelled plan, another disappointment. At first, this seems reasonable. After all, you've probably been caught out before. You've learned through experience that symptoms can be unpredictable. The problem is that your survival brain doesn't know when to stop. So this is how fear disguises itself. Fear rarely walks into the room and introduces itself. It usually arrives wearing a disguise. It sounds like, maybe I'll wait until I'm feeling better. Maybe now isn't the right time. Let's not risk it today. I'll book that holiday next year. I'll start dating when my symptoms are under control. I'll join the gym when my energy comes back. I'll travel when I know my gut is stable. Each decision seems small, reasonable even, but over time those decisions start to accumulate, and without realizing it, your world becomes smaller. The invisible cost here, I'd like to talk about this just for a minute, because one of the saddest things I see is not the symptoms themselves, it's the life that gets postponed because of them. The holiday that never gets booked, the weekend away that keeps getting pushed back, the promotion that isn't pursued, the relationship that never begins. It could be the hobby that slowly disappears, the dreams that quietly get placed on hold, not because they're impossible, but because fear has become the chief decision maker. Many people tell themselves, I'm just waiting until things improve. The problem is that years can disappear while you're waiting. At some point, many people stop trying to build a bigger life. Instead, they start trying to avoid making life harder. That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Because when avoidance becomes the primary goal, life starts revolving around protection rather than possibility. Protection has a role, don't get me wrong. Being responsible has a role. But those things were never meant to become the purpose of your life. Here's something I've noticed after working with people dealing with chronic gut issues. The people who create the most freedom in their lives are not always the people with the fewest symptoms. They're often the people who stop allowing fear to have the final vote. That doesn't mean they ignore reality, and it doesn't mean that they pretend everything is fine. It also doesn't mean that they become reckless. They acknowledge the fear, they prepare responsibly, they make sensible plans, and then they choose to live anyway. The goal isn't to eliminate fear, the goal is to stop giving fear control of the steering wheel. So a question worth asking might be this. Take a moment and ask yourself, what is one thing you've been putting off? Not because you genuinely can't do it, but because fear has convinced you it's safer not to try. Maybe it's a holiday, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a new career opportunity. Maybe it's simply saying yes to something you've wanted to do for a long time. Now ask yourself another question. If absolutely nothing changed over the next 12 months, how would you feel? Many people spend years waiting for the perfect moment to start living again. The truth is that life often starts moving forward long before everything feels perfect. Sometimes reclaiming your life begins with a simple realization. Fear has been making more decisions than you thought, and recognizing that may be the first step toward taking your life back.